What is up, guys? And I'm going to be doing a breakdown of both championships from the AFC and NFC, in my opinion, on what happened. And let's just go ahead and get into it. I want to talk about the Chiefs and Ravens first. I want to talk about the first half and second half of each championship game, by the way, as well. So let's go ahead and start with that. Chiefs and Ravens. The Chiefs came out striking Baltimore first half. I don't think the Baltimore defense was ready first half for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes came out there and diced them. Chiefs played a wonderful first half against the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar and the Ravens had no answers for him the entire game, but they really didn't in the first half because it was worse in the first half than they did the second half, even despite them only scoring a touchdown in the first half and a field goal in the second. But even though they scored a field goal in the second half, they were actually better in the second half than the first half, despite the score. But let's go back to the first half. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, they were cooking. That's all it was. I don't know why the Ravens couldn't stop him. Travis Kelce was literally perfect on 11 on 11 targets. That was going through like the entire game. I think Travis Kelce had a perfect game where him and Mahomes just never were off. 11 out of 11 for a $116, one touchdown. That was a perfect game from Mahomes and Kelce. I want to talk about Isaiah Pacheco because despite him not running the ball well enough, he still got the job done. You got the one touchdown. You got the big runs when you needed to get them. I expect Isaiah Pacheco to be ready or be better than that against the Niners defense as the Lions gashed him for a good chunk of yards. But we'll get to them later. Back to the Chiefs. Chiefs won this game. I'm not gonna say fair and square. I'm not gonna say they won it cleanly because they didn't. There was clearly bad officiating in this game. It mostly went against the Baltimore Ravens. There were some calls that were both ways, but 80% of the calls that were terrible calls against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm just going to tell you that right now. The Chiefs won this game. I'm going to go ahead and get the respect. Congratulations to the Chiefs for making it to Super Bowl once again. I think this is their they won. This was their sixth straight AFC Championship appearance, but I think this is Mahomes' third or fourth Super Bowl appearance. So congratulations to the Chiefs for making it to the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to sit here and act like y'all won this game fair and square because you didn't. I mean, there's a lot of penalties that should have been called and that wasn't called. I mean, those penalties are called. This is probably a different score. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But the one play I want to talk about that changed the game in this AFC Championship was that punch out. I don't know who punched it out, but someone punched that ball out against on Zay Flowers at the 1 yard line, and that was the game changer right there. That was the momentum swing. Because the Baltimore scores, this is a one-score game again. This is 14-17. Remember, the Chiefs didn't do anything in the second half offensively. The defense was doing great things. And I like the Chiefs' defense. I said the Chiefs' defense has been really great all year. I was saying Mahomes and the offense were not good all year. And they were not good in the second half of this game. I mean, that's gonna come back and bite them if they play like that against San Francisco. Because you saw what San Francisco just did to Detroit in that second half when they didn't even play good for the first half themselves. 27 unanswered. But once again, let's get back to this game again. That punch out was amazing, perfect. I have never seen a punch out happen like that before. Split second before the end zone. That Chiefs defense deserves the MVP for that game. And if you don't give that Chiefs defense the MVP, then there's an issue. I understand there was bad officiating in that game, but I like the Chiefs defense getting more MVP than the refs here because that punch out, it's a different game. It's 17-17, and that's a touchdown. I'm just going to let you know right now. It's 17-17, and we're going in overtime, and the Ravens most likely win this game because the Chiefs haven't done anything the entire second half. So, that punch out right there is the reason they're in the Super Bowl. I like that. Great defense by the Kansas City Chiefs, and I will be paying attention to y'all in the Super Bowl. I like that. I like it. I like the aggressiveness. I like the physicality of the Chiefs defense. I think one of their players got hurt. I'm not sure who it was. I hope that's not a big loss for the Chiefs, but I just know they're going to be a great defense. I think they're going to be I think it's going to be a really tough time for the 49ers moving the ball on that Chiefs defense. I'm telling you right now, the Chiefs defense is real. It's real. And no one's taking them seriously. I've been taking them seriously all year, but I don't know if everybody's been taking them seriously like I have. Defensively, I haven't been taking their offense seriously, but that defense, it's real. Now, let's go. I want to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. You made too many errors in this game. I know there was bad officiating in this game, but there's no excuse for having this many errors. Lamar Jackson had a strips. He got strip sacked. He didn't feel the pressure come off the right side, which gave him 17 points. it came to the point where you only completed 5 passes and one of them was to yourself. I mean, it got that bad. You were getting a lot of balls swatted at the line of scrimmage. I mean, they was just not able to move the ball against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it was a disappointment. They had all their stat lines down. This was the worst game they've ever played all year. They picked the wrong time to play their worst football. I mean, it's unacceptable. Lamar had a lot of bad throws. He missed throws. He kept barely overthrowing stuff. Like if he hits most of these throws, it's a different game. I mean, he missed throws. He didn't make the plays he needed to make. Patrick Mahomes did, and that's the difference in this game. He didn't make the plays he needed to make. He didn't make enough plays. Yes, the officials didn't get, like I said, yes, the officials didn't give you, it wasn't going to help you when you're already playing bad. Because that's the worst thing that can happen. When you're playing bad already, and then the officials rob you out of calls in this game, like the Isaiah Likely, despite Lamar Jackson throwing that pick to 3 Chiefs, it doesn't matter. It's still a flag. I don't understand people. Where he threw it to 3 Chiefs in the area. It does not matter. It's a flag. The ball should have been placed at the 1-yard line, and they would have scored. Or what about the Odell pass interference that also happened in the end zone, which would have also put them back at the 1-yard line? I mean, no one's talking about these plays. It's because of what Lamar did. Because of what happened, because he threw a pick. That does not matter. It's still a flag. Or what about the Isaiah Likely double move? He got held and there was no flag. It should have been an automatic first down. Like, there was too many calls against the Ravens that did not go their way because the refs wanted these Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'm just going to say right now, you wanted the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'm going to give the Chiefs the credit because they played a great defense, and their defense did a phenomenal job. I'm going to give the Chiefs credit, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to give the refs credit either. They're playing a 14-11. That's what it is. Because if you call these calls, the Ravens are scoring more than 10 points. I mean, that's 2 situations where the ball could have been placed at the 1-yard line. And yes, Zay Flowers fumbled the ball at the 1-yard line, but the Ravens are not going to fumble 3 times at the 1-yard line. Let's not be ridiculous. Come on. Let's not be ridiculous. Like, put the ball at the 1-yard line like you're supposed to, because there were obvious pass interference calls. Like, why? If you're not going to call the pass interference calls, then don't make it a rule. I'm just going to sit here and say it right now. If you're not going to call the calls, the obvious blatant pass interference calls that you missed in this Ravens game, then don't call them in the Super Bowl. Because I don't understand. They're so blatant and obvious that anybody that doesn't watch football can see that. That's kind of weird. Shouldn't that be like some type of rule against that? Like against holding people when the ball's not there? I mean, a casual can tell that's a flag. And you don't throw them. You kept your flags in your pockets when it should have been on the field. But once again, congratulations to the Chiefs. That's all I say about it. I mean, I don't understand why the refs got to mess games up. Should have been it is so many flags, and I feel bad for the Baltimore Ravens because they did everything they could. Despite them playing bad, they were robbed. I don't care how bad they played. See, you guys don't understand. It does not matter if you're playing bad or not. If the officials are not helping you because they're calling some terrible calls, you're not going to move the ball. That's another reason why they couldn't move the ball on top of that. Because you got the Chiefs defense is already playing lights out. So when you've already got the Chiefs defense playing lights out, and then you don't call the penalties that they're committing, what do you think is going to happen? The Ravens are going to lose this game. The Ravens should have easily won this game, roster-wise. But they couldn't. They didn't show up. And the refs not making the correct calls doesn't help either. So let's go ahead and talk about the Detroit Lions and 49ers game. This is the game the tale of 2 halves. Let me start with the Detroit Lions because they jumped up to a 24-7 lead. Once again, I know my quarterback, Jared Goff. When you have a great running game and a great offensive line that was dominating in the first half, because they were cutting up San Francisco in the first half. They were dang near averaging 5 yards a carry against them in the first half. I think they were averaging around 4.6 yards a carry. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, even Jameson Williams had a touchdown. That was actually the first touchdown of the game. It was a 42-yard flip in the back. What did they call it? It was like a jet sweep, but you flip it to the receiver and he runs out. Whatever it's called. He scored a touchdown off that. The Niners did not make great tackles. They missed tackles in the first half. They were horrible. They gashed them. The Lions were just more physical in the first half. I'm not going to give Jared Goff any credit because he really didn't do anything in the first half. That was all running backs. Jared Goff did a great job of managing the game in the first half. I will give him credit to that. He managed the game really well. But them running backs, You gotta give them more credit than they deserve. And the Niners, and the Lions defense in the first half, great defense in the first half. You even picked off Brock Purdy in the first half. That was pretty nice. Pretty nice defense. You got to give the Detroit Lions some credit. Great performance in the first half, up 24-7. But here's my problem with you in the second half. Let's go ahead and get started in the second half. When you couldn't run the ball, what happened to you? It reminds you of the 2021 game where the 49ers had to play us. And I'm bringing this up for a reason. Because the 49ers were in a similar situation. They're up against the Rams because the Rams could not stop the run. And when the 49ers couldn't stop the run, either the Lions were just gashing them. Now, when the Rams stopped the run, like the Niners stopped the run against the Lions, what does that force you to do? It forces your quarterback, who's not really good at throwing the football, Jared Goff, and Jimmy G, to make plays. And I don't trust Jared Goff to make plays on the Niners defense. The 49ers own this man. Do you not understand this? When he was with the Rams, we used to get killed every time. At least Stafford, we had a competitive chance. But let's stay on topic here. When the Niners stopped the run, and they also made Jahmyr Gibbs fumble, you're putting the ball back into Jared Goff's hands. And when the ball has to go back to Jared Goff's hands, it's not great. And he wasn't even really doing big plays all game anyway. He did have one throw, the Jameson was it Jameson Williams that got dropped. I think he threw an absolute beam over the top, and it was dropped in the second half. But let me talk about Brock Purdy and the 49ers. 27 unanswered is insane. Brock Purdy made throw after throw, scramble after scramble in that second half. Great plays by Brock Purdy. He stepped up to the plate. GVG is not making this comeback. I love how y'all keep calling Brock Purdy a system quarterback. System quarterbacks don't make these plays. They just don't. I don't know how many times we're going to keep saying this. I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it. If this was Patrick Mahomes, y'all would have been praising his balls off. I'm just going to tell y'all right now. Y'all would have been riding him. Let Patrick Mahomes would have made this comeback. I wouldn't hear the end of it. I wouldn't. But since it's Brock Purdy, he was carried to the comeback, and we got this and that. Brock Purdy is the sole reason they won this game. Brock Purdy had big scrambles on third down, big completion after completion. The completion to Ayuk was the best play of the game. Like what? And Christian McCaffrey, he did what he was supposed to do. But I think this was more about Brock Purdy showing up in this and making plays. They don't win this game without Brock Purdy. You're down 24-7. You have to throw the football. You can't just come out running the dang football. This was more about Brock Purdy in the second half. And he needs to get credit. He's not getting enough credit. It's always some excuse. Every time Brock Purdy does what y'all want him to do, y'all keep raising the bar on him. And if he does win the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, are you going to give him his credit then? I mean, how many times are we going to keep raising the bar on Brock Purdy? How many times? I'm a rival of these 49ers. I'm a Rams fan. And if I'm praising this dude and giving him credit, like I'm giving Patrick Mahomes credit because he played well, even though he didn't play well in the second half. He played well in the first half, played really good, and made that last play against the Ravens defense to win the game. Great throw by Patrick Mahomes, by the way. Let's get back on the Lions and 49ers. But if you're not going to give Brock Purdy credit for making great throws in the second half to beat these Lions, then you're going to get clowned. That's as simple as that. And yes, some of that was on Dan Campbell too. Dan Campbell was making some aggressive fourth down calls that I didn't agree with. If you're up in the game, just kick the darn field goals, buddy. Stop being so aggressive. And there wasn't even far out field goals. They were like 4th and 3 in like inside the 30-yard line. You telling me your kicker can't make that? That's literally an extra point. That is practically an extra point because the ball is placed on the 17-yard line, then you kick it. But if it's inside the 30, it's a little bit beyond the extra point. So you're telling me your kicker can't make it beyond the extra point? I have an issue with that. I don't agree that was the case. I just think Dan Campbell was just too aggressive. And him and Staley, that's what got Staley fired. His aggressiveness and terrible coaching. Dan Campbell, this is the first game I've ever seen you have really bad coaching, especially in the second half with your game management. You're being too aggressive for no reason. You're not down in this game. I understand you want to score touchdowns, but this is the game. This is a defense that you don't want to keep testing on 4th down. You need to learn to take your points. The Niners defense is really good for a reason. It's a loaded defense. You can't just keep going for it. This is not Madden. Take your points. If the Lions would have took both of those field goals, they're probably in the Super Bowl right now. Probably. But since Dan Campbell wanted to keep going for it, And you keep putting the ball, and here's an issue. Every time you keep going for it on fourth down, you keep putting the ball in Jared Goff's hands. This is why I don't understand. Jared Goff is not great under pressure moments. You keep putting the ball back in Jared Goff's hands. Yes, Jared Goff has been a little bit better this year. But that's because he has a stacked offensive line, he has a stacked RB core, and he has a really good receiver core. I'm not trying to take anything away from Jared Goff, but this Lions team reminds you of the 2018 offense Rams team where Jared Goff was really good that year, similar offenses, and then we got to the Super Bowl that year. Even though we didn't deserve to go, but that's still the same concept. Jared Goff is just not good under pressure situations. And the Lions just found that out real quick when you go for it on fourth down twice. Jared Goff throws 2 ducks on fourth down. 2 ducks. There go my phone, but 2 ducks on fourth down. Terrible throws by Goff, by the way. 2 ducks. I mean, you gotta take your points. That's all I gotta say there. That's all I gotta say about Dan Campbell. You just gotta take your points, man. There's nothing wrong with taking points. I like his aggressiveness, but there's just at times in important situations that you got to learn to take the points, dude. There's nothing wrong with taking points. I like Dan Campbell. I have nothing against Dan Campbell, but I just got to call him out on that. Learn to take your points at times, dude. This is the NFC Championship. This is not a regular season game. This is the NFC Championship. When points are on the table, you take them. I understand, like fourth down and shorts, you want to keep going for it. But if you're going to go for it like consistently like that, make sure it's fourth down to 1 or something, or fourth down to 2. But fourth down to 3, you're kind of pushing it. You're pushing it because then you can't run the ball. Because then the Niners know you're going to throw it. So that's why I say if you're going to be aggressive, make sure it's inside 2 yards or something. So you can scare them with the run, with the threat of run too. Because you can't really scare them with the threat of run from 3 yards away. So that's all I got to say about Dan Campbell. I like Dan Campbell. He did a great job with the Detroit Lions. So I ain't got nothing to say about Dan Campbell. But I do got to say something about the Detroit Lions defense giving up twists that are unanswered. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable too. I mean, we already know this anyway. Your defense wasn't good to begin with. Your defense injuring people on purpose. I mean, I don't know why we're doing this. Your defense was going to get exposed. I already knew your defense was going to get exposed. It's just a matter of the 49ers showing up. They just didn't show up in the first half. Tell 2 halves. That's what it is. Tell 2 halves. I got to give the 49ers credit. So congratulations to the 49ers. But I want to go back to Brock Purdy one more time because I won't ever hear the end of it until he wins the Super Bowl. If you're not going to give Brock Purdy credit, stop giving Patrick Mahomes credit. Stop giving Josh Allen credit. Stop giving Dak Prescott credit. Stop giving Lamar credit. I mean, did I say Lamar? Whatever. I don't know if you said him twice or not. But if you're going to give these other top quarterbacks credit for making these types of comebacks, you better give this credit to Brock Purdy as well. Sick of it. Sick of the biased jump. Because he has a loaded team, he doesn't get no credit. But Patrick Mahomes had a loaded team plenty of times with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman when he actually was good at the time. All those were threats. And y'all gave Patrick Mahomes credit at time after time after time when he made those comebacks against those teams. In the 2019 season, come back against the Titans. 2019 season, come back against someone else in the Texans in the playoffs. 24-0. Do you not remember this? 24-0 comeback. Y'all gave him credit for that. You gave him credit for the Titans comeback, and you gave him credit for the 49ers comeback when you robbed them in the Super Bowl anyway. You gave him credit for all 3 of those comebacks, but we can't give Brock Purdy credit for this comeback as well. Look, that's all I gotta say about this. I'm done talking about the championship games. All I gotta say is, if you're not gonna give Brock Purdy credit, then stop giving these other quarterbacks credit. Have a great day, guys, and remember what I said about these quarterbacks. Goodbye.